For my first video from Vietnam, I've come to the town of Hoi An. It is located under 15 miles from where I am based for the month in Da Nang. This place is pretty special. Some say that Hoi An is the most beautiful town in the entire country. You will get no argument from me. There is also so much to do here, especially in the ancient town, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Let's take a look. The ancient town here gained UNESCO World Heritage Site status in 1999. That's because Hoi An retains the layout and appearance of the trading port that made it so important from the 15th through the 19th centuries. More than 1,100 wooden frame structures have survived through time. There are homegrown and foreign influences seen all through the streets. Hoi An means peaceful meeting place. One of the key features lies on the southern edge of the ancient town. It's the Thu Bon River, which flows into the South China Sea, or what Vietnamese call the East Sea, several kilometers away. As a result of the history and beauty associated with the town, this is prime tourist territory, and there are concerns that the number of visitors is growing too large to be sustainable. I was in Hoi An for 2 nights, and I will still promote going there, because so many residents depend upon outsiders for their livelihood. There is a balance that so many communities around the globe are attempting to strike between tourism and protecting the elements which draw the crowds. It's at the Thu Bon River that the most dazzling spectacle in Hoi An takes place. Each evening, as day turns into night, people climb aboard boats and hit the water. Oarsmen and women do all the work, and the passengers can sit back and enjoy the ride. The scene is lit with lanterns on the boats and on the banks. Eventually, the water gets crowded with many vessels following what appears to be a prescribed route on this small canal that is a tributary of the main channel. For as many people as are in the boats, there are more on the shore or on the lantern bridge. I was in Hoi An for 2 nights, and this was a part of both of those evenings. I've never been to Venice, but I cannot imagine that it's more beautiful, more exciting, more meaningful than this. I'm going out on a boat tomorrow evening, but I don't believe it'll be any better than just watching from the sidelines here. I believe this takes place every single night, and I'm not sure how late into the evening that rides continue. This is now 24 hours later than those last clips. It was my turn to get out on the canal. I had my ride, these are called sampans, all to myself, just me and the boatman who was doing the driving. I got aboard just as the sun had gone down, so it was twilight. Not quite light, not yet dark. In my estimation, that is the best time for this little excursion. The time on the water is promised to be 15 minutes. I didn't make note, but it seemed like it was a little longer than that. There was a difference between being in the boat and watching all of this from the riverbank or the bridge. Okay, last night I think I was wrong. Being on the water does give a different perspective. Not only a different perspective, I would suggest a better perspective. So if you can get out here, absolutely do it. It's the proximity to the other boats and the sensation as you glide along on top of the water that makes this better, at least for me. Anytime there's a chance to do this will be incredible. But on the 14th day of each lunar month, when the moon is full, Hoi An holds a lantern festival. My guess is that this has taken to another level then. The cost for these boat rides vary, depending on the number of passengers, but it's in the range of $6 to $8. Away from the ancient town, the Lantern Bridge connects to a small island in the Thu Bon Delta. This is where the Hoi An night market takes place. It is just steps from the water and the visual perfection of the boats and the lanterns. In fact, for those who are looking to grab a lantern and take it home with them, this is one of the many places they can make such a purchase. It's a good mix of clothing, souvenirs, and food here. The market is open every night of the week from 6 until 10. I can't say enough about the atmosphere of the riverfront area in Hoi An during the latter part of the day. It seems as though everyone who is in the town emerges onto the street as sundown approaches. The avenue right next to the water is a hectic mix of pedestrians and every once in a while a motorcycle or scooter moving through. These modes of transportation are called Vietnamese cyclos. Essentially, they are tricycles with a seat up front for a passenger and the driver providing propulsion in the back. It's safe to say there are hundreds of these winding their way around town. It appears to give the rider a fantastic way to see a lot of the town with zero effort being expended. There's a good mix of visitors and locals being a part of this scene. Late in the day, outside of the Hoi An market, some stalls spill out onto the street. As you walk along, all sorts of sights, sounds, and smells vie for your attention. Being on the move is a good way to experience this, but so is stopping and letting all the activity pass by in front of you. I grabbed a table at the Cyclist Road Cafe, ordered a beer, and watched as the parade moved past my stationary point.
There are places similar to this all along the waterfront, and you can't go wrong picking a seat at any of them. This one appealed to me because it has beer from a couple of craft brewers in Vietnam, Heart of Darkness and Seven Brothers.
My beer was from Heart of Darkness, and while I said Seven Brothers, the other brewery is actually Seven Bridges. Both have some brews that I like very much. Combining a good drink with this front row seat to Hoi An on the move creates such an appealing situation. The ancient town is phenomenal. There are so many different elements to see. They have all been rather well preserved. That's even as many are impacted on a regular basis by seasonal flooding. This house shows the watermarks where the height of the river peaked in recent years. There are over 24 attractions, including houses, temples, museums, and more that people can see. To enter those sites, there is a ticketing system.
You can walk around the ancient town and it won't cost you a thing, but you can also buy a ticket. I got mine for about $5. That allows you to get into 5 of 25 sites that are located throughout the area. That includes places like the temple and pagoda here.
One good thing about the ticket is that it is good for 3 days, so there's no need to rush and see everything all at once. The Japanese Bridge is probably the most popular of the sites in the ancient town. It gets its name as a result of being built mainly by Japanese people. Stretching for just 18 meters over a small arm of the Thu Bon River, this connects to Chinese and Japanese quarters of town. Its architecture is a blend of Chinese, Japanese, and Vietnamese influences. The official name for the span means the bridge to receive guests from afar. It does bring people together. Sometimes the crowd makes it difficult to move through the covered space. This was initially built in the 17th century and has been renovated numerous times. Here are the other attractions in the ancient town that I chose to see with my ticket. At this place, there's the Quan Am Pagoda and the Quan Kong Temple. Construction here occurred in 1653. The complex honors a Chinese general who is venerated for his loyalty, integrity, and sense of justice. At least one source calls this the most sacred temple in Hoi An. The colors here are vibrant and the architectural details can be mesmerizing. When I visited, there was an art exhibition offered in some of the associated space. A lot of the paintings had a floral theme. There were pastels, and much of the work had a soft appearance to it. This made my enjoyment of the site even greater. I also went to the Hoi Quan Phuc Yen Assembly Hall, which is another religious site. This also dates to the 17th century. There are Chinese connections to this site as well. A goddess that is honored here is said to protect merchants from ocean waves. At most of these religious temples and halls, the buildings are ornate, but the grounds can be just as appealing for visitors. That is certainly the case here. There is a really unique tradition inside the assembly hall. These incense coils hang from the ceiling. They each have some sort of message or wish attached to them. The incense burns slowly, sometimes lasting for as long as 30 days. I chose to go to the Museum of Folklore. This is the largest two-story wooden house in the ancient town. Opened in 2005, it contains all sorts of artifacts. Those relics represent 4 different categories: clothing, occupations, performing arts, and activities. There are about 500 individual items on display in this space. In one spot, an artist was showing off her skills as she painted a mask. Of course, the Folklore Museum also paid tribute to the lanterns for which the town is known. I spent at least a half hour here, getting a glimpse of the way people have lived in this town through the ages. This is the old house of Tan Kee. It was built in 1741 and has been home to 7 generations of the same family. The first floor has several rooms that are open to the public, and family members still live on the second floor. Rooms are filled with antiques and items that the family has accumulated over time. This appears to be the most popular of the houses that are accessible with the ticket for ancient town attractions. Everyone who buys one of those tickets can attend a performance of traditional music and dance. It does not count against the limit of 5 attractions. At least 3 times a day, crowds fill the hall to take in the 30-minute show. It's quite fulfilling to hear music and see movements that have been a part of the town for probably centuries on a stage directly in front of you. There are features within the ancient town which can be experienced without buying that ticket. I was the first guest of the day in a home where members of a family are carrying on the tradition of making sweet black sesame soup. The woman here was so hospitable and answered all my questions about the unusual concoction.
This is quite nice, and one of the reasons that I like it is it's not too sweet. There is sweet potato in here, along with tapioca and the sesame. The family has been making this for over 70 years.
In addition to being flavorful, the black sesame soup is said to provide health-related benefits. I got my sample here for around $2. I was very attracted to this spot in the ancient town. It's called the Bamu Temple Gate. The entire temple was erected in 1626. That was at a different location, then it was all moved here at a later date. Weather and war has taken a toll over nearly 400 years, to the point that now only the gate of the temple remains. Still, its ancient architectural features continue to shine. The site is enhanced by this reflective pool which sits in front of the gate. When I was there, a photographer and model were using the attraction as the backdrop for their images. One morning, I ventured about 5 kilometers outside of town to try something completely different. Here, rides on coconut basket boats or coracles are offered through the day. I made my way out onto the water early in the morning. Guiding me on this adventure was a boatman who used a single oar to take us wherever we wanted to go. Off of the main channel, we found ourselves enveloped by the Bamu coconut forest.
So cool. This is the middle of the coconut grove. This is what this trip is all about, getting to this point.
This experience lasted for about an hour. For the most part, it was a tranquil venture that I thought was simply astounding. There were a few other tourist boats, but there were also fishermen coming or going in their vessels on the slowly moving water. Historically, these basket boats have been used by fishermen. The design is roughly 2,000 years old and attributed to the Cham people who lived in this region.
These boats are exceptional in terms of performance. They're light, so they ride right on the surface. That means they can go into places where the water is very shallow. They're also very hard to capsize. That means they handle rough conditions exceptionally well.
To feature the abilities of the coracles, there were a couple of demonstrations. One showed the way the craft can be handled in the water, while another provided a look at its effectiveness as a platform for fishing. It was such an entertaining excursion. Rides are offered for as little as $5. While away from town, I stopped into one of the most attractive coffee shops that I have ever seen. This is the Roving Chill House. It is situated in the middle of rice fields. I snagged a cappuccino and spent a half hour soaking up the almost otherworldly atmosphere. This nearly seemed pretend in terms of its beauty and its vibe. It's a popular place, despite being in a location that is not easy to access. A rideshare from town, however, is just a few dollars.
If you ever find yourself here, take a few moments to walk through the fields. The tranquility is intoxicating. The breeze going through the rice creates sensational sounds and a phenomenal look.
With the basket boat ride into the coconut forest and the time at the roving chill house, it was a most memorable morning. Back in town, there are countless cafes. I was lucky enough to find my way to the Hoi An Coffee Hub. It's a small place with most of the seating outside. I ordered a coconut coffee and just hung out for a bit. The location makes you feel as though you have discovered hidden treasure. This is not a place that you discover by simply wandering by on the street.
This is truly a lovely cafe. It is located off of the street back in alley. Google Maps got me close, but I still had to search just a little bit. The payoff is great for a minimal amount of effort.
If I had stayed in Hoi An longer, this could have easily become my every morning hangout. I found this photography gallery that contains some of the best portraits I have ever seen. It's called the Hoi An Gallery. The photographer was born in France, but has spent years in Vietnam. His portraits provide a real connection to the subject. One industry publication stated that his work captures the souls of his models. I certainly agree with that. In addition to this gallery, there is also the photographer's free Precious Heritage Museum in town. I regret that I didn't go there. There are artists of another kind in Hoi An. Multitudes of shops offer tailored clothing. I get the sense that many people come here just to add to their wardrobe. Streets are lined with shops that offer clothes for both men and women. From what I've seen, it appears to be high-quality stuff. There are some shops, such as this one, which bills itself as a fine arts handcraft workshop where it's possible to see the artisans at work. I was thrilled to see all of the dishes being created inside the central market in Hoi An. Situated not far from the river, the core of this market is devoted to stalls, turning out all sorts of cooked food. In every direction, the most amazing looking meals were being prepared. Given time, I would have tried something from each of the vendors. That would be one incredible Vietnamese food tour. I decided to get a dish from this stall. There are a couple of food items that originated here in Hoi An, so that was my focus when I came here. Probably the most well-known of those is Cao Lao. I was served a nice big plate.
It's said that Hoi An is the only place in the world you can get Cao Lao. It's rice noodles and vegetables, so nothing special there. But the key is, the water to make it has to be drawn from a specific well that is located here in town.
I'm not going to pretend that I know what special element that well water provided. I do know, however, that I enjoyed the dish and finished every bit of it. Another meal for which Hoi An is known is called mi quang. My search for that led me out of the tourist part of town to this little restaurant. I watched as the dish was assembled, then I sat down to devour it. It's my understanding that the key here is those noodles, then the sweet broth and the tasty toppings are enhancements. I didn't ask though, as no English was spoken here.
Mi quang is hearty and definitely tasty. I like how one internet source put it. They say that history, culture, and soul of the people of this region are all contained within this bowl.
Again, it was a knockout creation, and I finished every bit of the chicken and noodles, plus every drop of the broth. My choice for accommodations was here at the Ancient Town Hotel. I was quite happy with the property, and my room was attractive and clean. The walk to the ancient town and the river from here was minimal. Hoi An landed as my favorite place in Vietnam. I am staying for the month in Da Nang, and it is great with the beach and lots to do. If I was to return though, I would make Hoi An my base and spend the majority of my time in this town. Others might get bored here after 3 or 4 days, but this is the kind of place that I find so appealing.
Hoi An is such a phenomenal town. I'm here for 2 nights and could definitely stay for several more. If there's a more beautiful place in Vietnam, I certainly want to know about it. I'll have plenty more from this country over the next several weeks. I'll feature Da Nang and Hue and who knows what else as I continue to discover what's here. You'll see it all right here on Old, Alone, and Far From Home.